yeah, Rogan came through and was the first time we got to kick it with him. So it's a KFC Radio bucket list moment to hang out with Joe Rogan, who is exactly Joe Rogan.
Dude, it
made me like him so much more. Not that I ever thought there was any sort of shtick, but like he is as authentic as it gets.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it. There are plenty of people who think he's a meathead and don't like it or whatever. There's obviously
meatheads get a bad rap.
He's the best meathead in the world. Yeah. I say it endearingly. He's just like, we were talking about elk meat and knee surgery and MMA and like all the shit that he was talking about doing collagen treatments for your face with red light treatments, and I was like, holy fucking shit. He does this on the clock and off the clock. He does it for 3 hours at the show and then he just keeps doing it at the bar. It's crazy.
Dude, I was telling somebody, Lou, and I was like, dude, if I just told you this is what Joe Rogan was talking about when I met him, you'd be like, you're making that up.
The script gets rejected from Hollywood. If you guys wrote a sketch about Joe Rogan and you were like, all right, so Joe's gonna show up and he's gonna talk about elk meat and his compound and bow hunting and all this shit, I would be like, come on. Let's be a little realistic here. No,
it was 100% where I was like, so first of all, like, he carries such a wake to him that, like, first of all, I heard he was in the building, and I'm not a Joe Rogan fan, but I'm not I'm not a super fan either, right? So like I would think that doesn't. I'm not like, but the second I heard he was in the building, your eyes just start darting. You're like,
it's like fucking Elvis
over there?
Shit.
Is he over there? Was he over there? Yeah. And then finally spotted him. You were talking to him already. You spotted him in the corner, and I think it was you guys, like, go over there. And I was like, I'm not going over there. I'm not going to interrupt Kevin talking to Joe Rogan. But then just like, as we keep saying, like, we're not going over there,
you just start shifting over.
We're like, wait, why are we halfway down the bar right now?
It's like a gravitational pull. Like you're in Joe Rogan's orbit.
Like, I said I don't even want to go, but I don't stop me. Like, it was crazy.
I had a very awkward moment. Bert said to me, Rogan's coming. Have you ever met him? I said no. And he's like, you got to meet him. He's a great guy. He's going to love you guys. And I was like, cool. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. I was very surprised. As I understand it, Rogan's a pretty private dude and doesn't go out much. And this was a very this was a bar. It wasn't like he had a fancy place. It was just a nice bar. But it was a lot of. I mean, I guess you come to realize everyone in the room's a billionaire, so it's not.
Yeah, I believe it is a members only bar.
Okay, so it is enough. But I was like, I feel like if Rogan walks in here, it's gonna be like a frenzy. So I don't know. Maybe he comes, maybe he doesn't. And everybody was like, well, when Joe says he's gonna do something, he usually does it. Well, anyway, he comes and he's talking to Bert and Tom and all those guys, and so Bert makes eyes with me, and he does that, he looks over the conversation and kind of gives me a nod, and I was like, okay, I think it's time. So then I start walking over there, and by the time I get there, he's not looking at me anymore. He's just back in the conversation, and I don't know whether that was like, hey, pussy, just join the conversation by yourself or not. And I just kept going. and I walked up those stairs, and I pretended to take a phone call outside.
Oh, I saw that. Okay, because when we saw Rogan, I was like, wait, is that Kevin? No, he's outside to take a phone call.
I stood there for a second.
Yo, you had the phone out. You saw that shit.
I did the whole thing because I was playing the wall. I was just standing on the wall, and I was like, this is even more awkward if I'm waiting to get subbed into the game, So I was like, I'm gonna just go stand here, and then there was a bouncer there, and I was like, can I go outside? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I gotta take a phone call. And then I just stood there for 30 seconds, and I hung up, and it was locked from the outside, so I had to knock. And came back in, and then I walked, and then I on the way back towards that little talking circle is when Bert grabbed me and said, I want to introduce you to somebody. So I was like, oh my god,
dude, I did the.
So it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's
not,
just.
though.
I mean, it is, but it's just so silly. It feels particularly silly. At the end of the day, Joe was one of the most gracious, humble, nice. It was silly to be nervous about him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
but it's not just because he's a nice guy. He's still it's all I hear is Tom Brady's a nice guy. Someone goes, yo, go talk to Tom. I'm like, what are you fucking crazy?
Nuts? I mean, I think I'll say this. I have a personal rule. I'm not just gonna roll up to anybody who has personal bodyguards with them. That's a whole other level. Like we've been around some famous people. I don't think we've ever seen bodyguards.
Well, people have brought bodyguards like to the office. Never just in public. Never just around.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have. I don't know, but I've seen bodyguards around.
Like I was thinking about Hemsworth. He didn't really have. He was on. He was
But
like.
I'm sure they were there.
Yeah, I'm sure
Like-
you just couldn't even get close to that room at all, right?
Yeah.
Like in the lobby or whatever. Yeah. But those guys are awesome. Those guys. I feel like we should get those guys on the podcast. I don't even, probably not allowed, but like the Joe Rogan comedy mothership bouncers. At one point, this one guy, I think the only probably like normal guy in the room who was not somebody elite, came over and had a few too many and very awkwardly interrupted a conversation of Joe and Tom and Bert and tried. And he was nice. He was like, "I'm a bussin' with the boys." Of course, the bussin' with the boys fan, just a total scumbag. And he was just he was saying nice things, but when they just linger.
Yeah.
And they linger and they linger and everybody was kind of like, all right, dude. And the guy came over and gave him like the pat on the stomach, like, okay, it's time to go. And he still kept trying to be like, just wanted to say thank you. I was like, bro, you're about to get fucking tossed by a Navy SEAL. Just go, dude. Just walk away. But it's a funny thing to just be like, I mean, I have not been that awkward about meeting somebody in a long time.